All right, everybody, welcome into another episode of the Full Press Saints podcast. Of course, part of the Full Press Coverage Network. What is going on? It is Alec and Matt here today. Obviously, Matt, we have a lot to discuss. Jump into the Saints beat the Dirty Birds to end the year 30-20. They will finish the year 9-8, so above 500, and more importantly, with a winning record, despite all the list of things that this Saints team faced this year. Not even to start with the retirement of Drew Brees, but this is a team that fought, had adversity the entire year. Every week it was something that was going on. So, hey, kudos to this team for finishing this fight. I was proud of this team throughout its entirety of the season. There were some ups and downs, but nonetheless, you cannot end the season better than beating the Dirty Bird Falcons. Isn't that right, Matt?
Yep, I mean, if you got to go out, you got to go out beating the Falcons. Also got to shout out to our guy Chauncey Gardner-Johnson punching the Falcons logo. Gotta love it.
He's been so fun this year. He's been so much fun to watch.
He is. I need him signed to a lifetime Saints contract right now.
Matt, before we get into this game, quickly, it's been about a week or two since we've been on. How have you been? Anything else going on in your life that's worth talking about, or just how you been?
Just the same old. COVID's ramping up around here, so that's fun. But yeah, I hope everyone out there stays safe.
Yeah, cannot agree more. Hopefully everybody is staying safe and staying smart out there, because this certainly is not going away anytime soon. So now let's talk about the Saints team, Matt. Obviously, beating the Falcons was something they had to do to get into the postseason. Now, of course, we had to count on the Rams to do their part, which they did not. They lose to the 49ers in overtime, so this team will miss the postseason for the first time in 5 years since the 2016 season. Before we dive into this Falcons game in particular, Matt, just any thoughts on this season and what it's been like for the Saints team?
All in all, going into the season, and I hate to I guess, brag about it, but going into it, I'd called the Saints going 9-8, but I did say they'd get the 7th seed, but we were a Matt Stafford interception away from that, like you said, with the Rams losing that game. But I didn't think they'd go 9-8 this way. Like you alluded to earlier, there was so many different things that happened this season, from the quarterback carousel with the injuries, having 4 different starters at different points, even having Taysom get hurt in this very last game, having the different COVID outbreaks, the one that hit the coaches in week 2, and then the one that forced Ian Book to start, along with also 20-plus players being out. Being displaced due to the hurricane for the first month of the season. There's just so much going on, and I don't really want to make it be an excuse, because I'm sure you could probably ask any Saints player in that locker room, they wouldn't want to make it an excuse either. It's just kind of a testament to what this team's gone through, and I mean, it helps when you have a veteran coaching staff like this one, and if they made the playoffs, you could honestly probably put Sean Payton up there for Coach of the Year candidate, because he did a wonderful job with this team and how they did. But there's definitely some moves to be made in the offseason, and I'm very interested to see how they're going to go forward with that.
Yeah, and I mean, and just to add on to the list of things this team overcame, because I feel like we should, the rotating door at kicker, which really hurt this team early on in the year, until they stuck with Brett Maher. Just so many things that went wrong with this team. The offensive line, which I believe we all thought was kind of a strong point going into the season with the depth we had behind our starters, really took a hit from early on, losing Andrews Pete for the season. Teron Armstead's been in and out of the lineup the last couple of games of the season. We were down Ramczyk for what felt like a month of football. It's kind of funny, because the only healthy lineman we had the entire year was Cesar Ruiz, and to say he struggled, I think, is a nice way of putting it. He's had a very, very horrendous second year in the NFL. And that's just a nice way of putting it, too.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Saints fans would probably apologize to Andrews Pete for the play we got out of Cesar Ruiz this season. But yeah, it was pretty bad. But at the end of the day, with the whole Cesar Ruiz project, you got to wonder if it was the smart thing to draft a guy that played center and try to move him to guard and make him play that. And then, I don't know. I guess you can see how it goes next season, but so far, not good.
Yeah, can I agree more? But we can agree on the defense, which has been absolutely phenomenal to watch this year. I think this may have been the best stretch of Saints defense we've seen in the entirety of the 2017 type era of the Saints football that we're getting. This might be the best defense we've seen in its entirety. Marcus Davenport, when he came back to the lineup, was an absolute beast, getting constant pressure, hits, and sacks. Talk about Cam Jordan having a second half resurgence to his career. He, I believe, ended the year with 12.5 sacks, which I believe put him in the top 10 for sacks in the NFL. Damari Davis had another all-pro caliber season. Quan Alexander was a very pleasant surprise, considering how quickly he came back from the torn Achilles last Christmas. Marshall Lattimore, I thought, had a very, very good year. There were maybe a couple games in the midst of that losing streak where he may not have been at his best. But I thought overall I was very impressed with him this year. Pete Warner, Paulson Debo, those were immediate impact rookie players, which, no matter how you cut it up, that's a win. And you look at the safeties, I have no complaints this year about Malcolm Jenkins, about PJ Williams, or Marcus Williams. I thought the safety group by far was the best position group we had this year on the field, offensive, defensive wise. But Matt, I mean, I'll throw it to you. What were some of your thoughts on this defense this year? Do you think this is the best stretch of Saints defense we've seen throughout this 5-year run?
I mean, it would definitely be up there for sure because, I mean, this defense just went out there week in and week out with a terrible offense. For the most part, most games, the offense was very lackluster and couldn't possess the ball for a long amount of time. So they would get the ball, punt the ball almost immediately, and then the defense have to go back out there. And they stuck through it to their credit. And, I mean, it's very rare that you had to put the blame on the defense for any game lost this season. Of course, there may be like one or two instances that you could maybe point to it, but I feel like that would be unfair at the very end of things. But as you were saying, if I would just went by position groups myself, I mean, the D-line, obviously, it faced injuries. It was probably the main thing that kind of was hurt this season. But as it went on and as people got healthy towards the end there, you're alluding to Cam Jordan, he really came on, man. Like
the COVID.
Yeah, the freaking COVID. He was an Iron Man, never missed a week. I'm pretty sure. And then he misses 1 week because of COVID. And then he comes back and gets like 8.5 sacks to end the season. It was just a crazy way how he ended it. Because, I mean, there's a lot of talk about, is Cam Jordan washed? Is Cam Jordan this? But at the end of the day, he just had to go take a week off because of COVID. He came back and, man, he was disruptive. And Davenport was good too. I'm pretty sure he had 9 sacks on the season. So that's definitely something good. I just wish he could stay on the field, kind of like Cam Jordan does for the most part. And then there's just so much better that this D-line could do even next season, just as long as everyone could be out there, including Peyton Turner. I'd like to see what he does going on in the next season. And like you're saying with the rookies, that's probably my biggest takeaway is we might have found that more permanent solution to that number 2 corner because every year it seems like we were just renting a guy, be it an Eli Apple or Janoris Jenkins, just taking whoever the Giants cut, it seemed like for a minute there, and let go of. But it seems like we got that in Paulson Adebo, and I mean, sure, he had his rookie struggles, but man, he made some plays, and that one-handed interception in the Falcons game.
That might be play of the season, in my opinion, for this team.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, that was an insane grab. That was insane. I just could not believe it. And that man was just playing great. Pete Warner, also a really good linebacker. He's played good, as you were saying. The safety position, as you said, was also really good. That's one thing to worry about with Marcus Williams being an independent free agent.
Top priority, in my opinion.
Yes, I definitely agree with you there because that's going to be huge. But overall, the defense, they're just fantastic, fantastic all around.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? Maybe if this team doesn't lose Jameis at 5-2 after beating the Buccaneers, maybe things are different. Regardless, they had a strong showing against the Falcons. I think they showed me a lot of things going into next season that I'm optimistic about, but at the same time, there obviously is still room for improvement with this team. Before we get into the the offseason, Matt, I believe you have some end of the season numbers from Pro Football Focus. Why don't you throw them out there for the listeners? Just some of these end of the season numbers for your New Orleans Saints.
Okay, this is from Pro Football Reference. I wish I had the Pro Football Focus subscription.
They're all the same. It's Pro Football something. Damn it.
In terms of total points for the Saints, we're about middle of the pack, 19 out of 32, which kind of surprised me.
Points for?
Against,
so we scored that many points?
Yeah, points for. We had 364. That comes out to a 21.4 per game average.
That is surprisingly better than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it would be kind of in the end of the pack, but the points against, it was 4th out of 32, so we only gave up 19.7 points per game, and is a total of 335. So that didn't surprise me because we had some really good games in there. Like, I mean, even the Packers, 3 points. It's insane. As far as let's see here, the total passing numbers for the whole team ended up being only 3,186 yards, 29 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, so pretty mediocre, like everyone probably thought. Rushing wise, it was 1991 for 12 touchdowns. The opponent's stats as far as passing wise was only 3,821. That's a pretty good number if you ask me. 20 touchdowns to 18 interceptions is also a crazy number.
It's a good ratio.
That is a really good ratio. I mean, if you told me a Saints defense would do that back in like 2013, I would have been like, wow, how? 2013, 2014, when we were giving up like 6,000 yards and so many touchdowns.
And Brandon Browner had like the NFL record for most defensive holding or pass interference flags, whatever it was.
Yeah.
He holds a record for something like that.
Something like that. I mean, it was insane. The fact that we held teams in total under 4,000 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 18 interceptions is a really good stat. That is wild to me.
What's the rushing numbers for that?
The rushing numbers for the defense, for the opponent's stats against the Saints, it was 1,589 yards for 12 touchdowns.
Is there a rank for that? Like out of
I don't have a rank on this thing, unfortunately.
Because I feel
would be nice.
Because I feel like despite the lack of, because you forget we missed Animata for the first 6 games of the season, right?
Wait, I think it's 4th.
4th, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's crazy because you think about how beat up they were in the interior part of the defensive line with Animata missed 6 games, and then they were kind of rotating Christian Ringo, Shia Tuttle, Malcolm Roach. They're rotating all these younger guys in and out, and with help from the defensive ends, because they were banged up for a little bit as well, and then the linebackers. That's to finish 4th against the run, because that's kind of been the norm for this defense, right? Ever since like Dennis Allen took over, was like this is a very good run defense. And yes. I kind of thought this year, like after Rankins left and I was a spin, I thought, teams just gash us up the middle for yards, and that was not the case. So kudos, Dennis Allen did a hell of a job this season.
Yes, for sure. I mean, they've always been so consistent with stopping the run, and that's just been their identity. And like you said, even though they were missing all those defensive interior guys, it's just the linebacker crew is so deep at this point with Damari Davis and Pete Werner, and I mean, I guess I can't really say Zach Bond's name there, but
Caden Ellis.
Caden Ellis is a really good run stopping linebacker. All in all, they have a good rush defense, and that's their identity. They do not let people run the ball. Every now and then there'll be like one run that gets away from them, or maybe a quarterback can kind of get them, like a Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders type combination. That seems to be their kryptonite. But for the most part, they keep it locked down.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been so good to watch this defense play this year, and kind of poetic that this team wasted this defense this year after wasting so many years of prime Drew Brees. Now, Matt, let's shift over to this Falcons game real quick. Anything to take away from this game you were impressed with? I mean, Taysom Hill looked good until he got hurt. Then Trevor Siemian came in. Siemian looked good off the bench. Alec and Matt had 146 yards on the ground. Treycoin Smith had a very nice game. Trotman had a really nice corner route touchdown. And the defense, like I said, lights out. The Debo pick, disgusting. So, I mean, what's up to you in this Falcons game?
Well, the main thing, obviously, like you said, the Debo pick, as we talked earlier, that was an amazing play. The fact that Kamara ended up with 30 carries was crazy. I mean, granted, we played with the lead for the most of the game. The game kind of got in our control, so it was going to lean that way anyways. But 30 carries, 146 yards, very good game by Kamara. As you're saying, Taysom Hill played well. Simeon plays well. So I guess going into next season, our goal should be, hey, let's start Taysom Hill, James Winston, whoever, but then bring in Trevor Siemian like halfway through the second quarter
off the bench
because that's how we're going to win games. Because Siemian can't win a game when he starts, but
it's like untucked Kyrie Irving shirt.
Yes.
Or Batman mask LeBron with the Heat. It's off the bench Trevor Siemian is what's going to do you win.
Yeah, or back in the day whenever LeBron always wore the headband and his headband would fall off or something. Man, I mean, it's just crazy how that happens. But Treycoin Smith definitely surprised me.
Yeah, it's about time he surprised me.
He went out and had a good game. He is a free agent, so I will be interested to see if the Saints bring him back, maybe on like a 1-year deal or something like that. That was good to see on his end that he played well. And then aside from that, I don't really have any other notes on the offense as far as things go. The defense took care of things, of course. Mm-hmm. Gave Matt Ryan problems. Got a couple sacks in there, which was encouraging to see after the last game. Matt Ryan was in a very clean pocket in the last game, but as we noted, the D-line has gotten much, much better towards the end of this season. But yeah, that's the main thing I'd have to say. Russell Gage had a good game on our defense, though, but I mean, probably most of that kind of got helped probably by the fact that we were up for most of the game.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll start with the offense first. I give this offensive line credit despite just the absolute unexpected injuries that this unit suffered this year, because this was supposed to be the strong point of our team. Was, we all agreed the depth of the offensive line and the quality of starters we had was like going to be the best thing about this team this year. And Armstead gets hurt, Ramchick gets hurt, McCoy got hurt at one point. I mean, hey, give kudos to Calvin Throckmorton. I mean, it hasn't been perfect for him, but I thought he's filled in very admirably for Andrus Peace as he went down earlier this year. He shocked me. He is a smaller guard build wise because he played tackle at Oregon, but he surprised me. I think for him to come and start, I believe the last, I want to say 8 to 9 games, because I think Pete went down against Tampa, if I'm right. The first game against Tampa, so I think he played the rest of the year from that point on. He's been very nice to watch. He's gotten better and better as the years come along. As you mentioned, Matt, Treycoin Smith finally gave me something to look at and go, you know what? I like that. If it were up to me, outside of Michael Thomas and Deontay Harris, I am overhauling the receiver in the offseason, but it wouldn't shock me if they bring Treycoin back. Defensively, again, Malcolm Jenkins and Marcus Williams had a standout game. Those two together have been so fun to watch because I don't have to worry about safeties getting blown or getting beat deep. The defense did its thing, so I was happy about that. Okay, Matt, now let's have a little fun here.
Okay.
Obviously, it's going to be a very long off season because there are going to be so many question marks about this team going forward. Quarterback, wide receiver, Marcus Williams. What do they do in the draft? What do we think they should do versus what they actually do? Because that seems to be a recurring theme in Saints Twitter. What we would like to see this team do versus what they actually do. So, I'll throw it off to you, and I'll just bounce off of you and what you're vibing with. I mean, if you'd have put together a wish list for this team in the offseason, or just some things you think that need to happen for this team to take the next step next year, what are some of those things?
If I could wish for Michael Thomas to somehow be impervious to injuries and go back to his 2 year ago form would be amazing. But super realistic goals. Not saying that Michael Thomas couldn't come back healthy or anything, but I'm hoping it works out well for him because it would be great to have him on the team. But
I'm sorry, Matt. One more thing. Something we did forget about that was great this year. It just crossed my mind. Blake Gillikin.
Oh yeah, he was amazing, and I mean, as much as it pains me to see Thomas Morstead in a Falcons jersey, Blake Gillikin, he's been killing it this season.
Yeah, I think the Saints led the NFL in most punts inside of the opponent's 20. I think Gillikin led the league in that category. But just really quick, it just crossed my mind like, oh shit, we did talk about Gillikin, but go on.
Yeah, he was amazing. And then, aside from Michael Thomas, I'm hoping that we can address that wide receiver issue. I think we need at least two, and maybe even add in a tight end in there as well. I don't know if they want to continue with the Adam Troutman experience. We'll see how that goes going forward because he had up and down games for sure. But we definitely need to address the wide receiver position, whether it's through the draft, whether it's through free agency. We need to address this because this season having Treycoin Smith or Marquez Callaway or Deontay Harris as your number one, kind of interchangeably. I mean, just looking at the team stats right now, I'm kind of looking at the receiving yards. No one was over 700 yards. Marquez Callaway was close with 698. But, I mean, that's just not good at all because, I mean, that comes out to 41 yards a game. And
it was better than Kenny Galladay, who led the Giants in receiving.
Yeah, I mean...
It was better than Kenny Galladay in the Giants' offense.
I mean...
you interpret that how you want.
Yeah, I don't really know what to quite say about that one with the Giants.
Yeah, you did better than the Giants offensively, so take that as you will.
Yeah, I mean that's setting the bar pretty low there, but yeah, I mean Marquez Callaway only 698 yards. Treycoin Smith, granted he missed quite a few games. He started, let's see here, he started 6. He played in 11. And so he was at 377 yards. That came out to 34 yards a game. But pretty much the theme of this is we can't continue this. And Deontay Harris actually had the team high yards per game with 43.8. And he played in 13 with 570 yards total. And, I mean, the passing touchdowns definitely weren't there really, to wide receivers especially. Marquez Callaway led the team with 6, but we definitely, like I said, just definitely need to overhaul this wide receiver core, as you already stated, but that's just something that definitely needs to happen.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I agree with you. I think personally, outside of Thomas, Harris, I forgot about Callaway. I'll keep Callaway. He'd be a smooth wide receiver 4.
Yeah, exactly.
This, like you said, whether it's a free agent, actually, let me pull up the free agent wide receivers real quick. Let me see if there's any good ones. I should have had this pulled up, but for the sake of sakes, let's just see what we have to work with in 2022. Some of your wide receivers include Allen Robinson. No, go ahead.
Yes. I was about to say the first name that popped up when I Googled it was Antonio Brown, and I just want to say we're not going to get him.
Hey, I mean... yeah, I shouldn't say anything.
but yeah, continue.
The big name guys, obviously Allen Robinson was coming off a very down year in Chicago. Chris Godwin, I would bet Godwin resigns with Tampa on the cheap. coming off the franchise
Yeah.
tag with the ACL. Devontae Adams is tricky because I believe his future in Green Bay simply depends on Aaron Rodgers, what Rodgers decides to do. So those are your four big name, probably top dollar money guys, which I don't see us getting realistically. So then you get down to the Jujus, the Jamison Crowders, AJ Green, Keelan Cole, Mike Williams from the Chargers could be interesting. I'm interested to see how much he gets on the market. Cedric Wilson in Dallas, Michael Gallup in Dallas. I'm a big fan of both of those receivers in Dallas, very much so. OBJ obviously would be a free agent. DJ Chark, who he got hurt week 1, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he was done for the year for the Jaguars. He could be maybe a guy you can get on the cheap. Yeah, that's really it.
Yeah, if I'm looking at the list, I would definitely put guys like Gallup, as you said, up there as guys I'd like to see the Saints target. Michael Gallup, a DJ Chark, like you mentioned.
Cedric Wilson, dude, he's a baller.
Yes, I also like Christian Kirk. I like Christian Kirk a whole lot from the Cardinals. He would be a good get because I feel like he'd be a good kind of slot guy. And then there's one more I remember. And then I guess the biggest name on there would be Juju, just because he's so young. I mean, he's 25 years old, and he's already been in the league, 4 years?
It's been that long, I feel. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, just for him being so young, and I mean, I know he had the injury, and if you can get him on a 1 to 2 year kind of cheap deal, where he wants to kind of recoup his value, then that would be amazing. I don't know what his market's going to look like. It's probably going to look pretty good considering the fact that he's probably going to be one of the higher name guys just because of his youth. And like you said with Devontae Adams, it highly depends on Aaron Rodgers. And I mean, hey, if Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams would have come to New Orleans, that'd be amazing. But
One can dream. One can dream.
One can dream. We'll get into the quarterback talks another day, but with those wide receivers, those would be my wish list guys. Juju, Christian Kirk, Michael Gallup, guys like that.
One more guy I forgot to mention, Zach Pascal from the Colts.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
I've been big on him, but every year he's been a restricted free agent with the Colts, but this is the year he's a unrestricted. So how do you feel about OBJ?
I don't know. I feel like he's going to be more expensive than I want him to be.
Probably.
And
I don't know if he's worth that either.
At this point, I'd rather go. The reason why I named off those guys that I did is they're in the 25-year-old range. I'd kind of like to maybe get a younger guy, just to have a second guy that we can keep around for a little while.
Right.
Because it always feels like it's kind of a patchwork for whoever's going to be our number 2 guy across from Michael Thomas. Because Emmanuel Sanders, he's 34 and still playing pretty well, granted, but we had him. He was kind of like a 1-year type deal. Jared Cook, even though he's not a wide receiver, he was meant to be the guy that drew the attention away from Michael Thomas. He's kind of older in his career. I would kind of like a guy that could stick around for a little while, if that's possible, which for some reason it feels like whenever we bring in these free agent wide receivers, it just doesn't work out. But
Ted Ginn was cool his first year here in 17, and then after that.
Yeah, Ted Ginn's definitely would probably be the higher guy on that list of free agent guys that got brought in and did well. But
that's saying something.
Yeah, that's definitely saying something. But I would hope for a younger guy. And I'm sure we're probably going to draft someone. If we use the first round draft pick on him, that's to be decided. But definitely got to sign one of these guys.
Yeah, and I think one more thing I'll add on the wide receiver free agent group. I think if I were to drop money on one guy in particular, excuse me, I think I would take the risk on Mike Williams out of LA, just because. Look, coming out of Clemson, we knew he could be that guy in the NFL. It was just a matter of could he stay healthy. This was the first year where I didn't watch a lot of Chargers games. I'll have to go back and look at the numbers he played, but I believe he played in the majority of the games this year. Dude absolutely balled out and was a deep threat machine. So if you bring back Jameis, or if you trade for insert quarterback here, or whoever the quarterback is, to get Michael Thomas coming across the middle and to do all the dirty work, dirty routes and whatnot, and then to have Mike Williams over the top would be the dream. But realistically, I don't see it happening. But that would be the one guy, if you get to a bidding war and you have the cap to do it, I would take my chances on Mike Williams.
Oh man, I did not see his name on the list for whatever reason, but he would definitely be really high up there.
Yeah.
But part of me thinks that the Chargers are gonna go real hard to try to keep him
For Herbert.
Herbert, and Keenan Allen's getting kind of up there in age, so they'd probably want to keep him around.
Yeah, I think so. To summarize it, I think my wish list for wide receivers would be DJ Chark, Gallup, Cedric Wilson. I mean, look, if no one's going to get into a bidding war and his price isn't extremely high for no reason, I'll take OBJ. But if I take OBJ, I'm going to take him with the expectation of I'm still drafting a receiver relatively early in the draft.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. If I had to put on another wish list type thing, we've already kind of discussed it a little bit, but definitely re-sign Marcus Williams. That's like looking at the free agents right now. The big ones are Teron Armstead, which we might be letting him walk just to save kind of some cap space.
I saw a tweet that said someone had photoshopped a picture of Teron Armstead in a Bengal jersey, and it said all pro season incoming, and I was like, man. Because our guys seem to love Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, they really do. I mean, they have a mini Saints team over there as well as an LSU squad. So that's very interesting. I think I might be going to that Bengals Saints game next season.
Okay.
Because my friend, he's a really big Bengals fan right now, so we might.
I like that.
We might be going to that, so that'd be interesting. But, Teron Armstead, Marcus Williams, and, of course, Jameis. He's also a free agent. I'd also like to see them bring in Jameis Winston. P.J. Williams, Quan Alexander, I think those two should be brought back. And then for the rest of there, it's kind of guys that are just kind of iffy. I mean, Dwayne Washington, Ty Montgomery, Treycoin Smith, Juwan Johnson, Carl Granderson. He's a nice rotational defensive end. Deontay Harris but he's a restricted free agent, and so is Deontay Harris. So they'll definitely keep Deontay Harris on the restricted free agent type thing. But as far as actual free agents, it's not super crazy, but Marcus Williams is definitely that guy that must be kept.
Yeah, because I think I would like to think maybe Quan Alexander and PJ don't really have a big market necessarily. I would hope not, at least, because I'd love to bring those two guys back, as well as Marcus Williams. Jameis, I'm gonna be that guy, Matt. I'm interested to see what the Saints do at quarterback this year, because there are so many things going on. There's the rumors of Russell Wilson might be done in Seattle. There's also the rumors that Baker Mayfield may want out of Cleveland. And I'm just going to tell you right now, if Baker wants out, I'm interested. I really am. I think a change of scenery and away from the Stefanski power run offense will do Baker good. That's fair to say, though, right?
I mean, if anyone's going to do it, it'd be Sean Payton. But
yeah.
Honestly, I'd probably rather roll with Jameis over Baker myself. But that's just my personal preference.
Risk a biscuit. That's what we do. I do agree with you. I think, unfortunately, as crazy as amazing, because Charles, he's been with his team since 2013.
Coming out of University of Pine Bluff,
Arkansas.
What a school, man!
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not too far from Pine Bluff. It's a sketchy place. I don't recommend going there, but I mean, it's crazy. Like, I remember hearing his name pop up. I was like, oh, okay. And then he just ran that huge 40, and then the Saints drafted him. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then he just goes out and has this career. So props to him on that. But, I mean, if the cap space is there, I think he should be brought back just because he's so good. But if one of them had to walk, it'd probably be him.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and who knows? Maybe he does take some kind of hometown discount. But again, he's what 30.
30.
He's 30 on the dot. So that means realistically, he's probably due one more big payday, right?
Yeah.
I would assume so. So if he wants to go out there and secure that bag, go for it, dude. Because at the end of the day, that's more money in your pocket for what's I consider a very long and great career in the NFL. It would just suck because he's such a great locker room guy. He's a leader on this team.
He drops good mixtapes.
Yeah, he has fire. and I mean, I kind of feel like now with Breeze gone, you know, shoot, if I'm right, I believe if you count the time Ingram was gone, I believe Armstead is the longest tenured Saint to play with Drew Brees.
Yeah, I mean,
so I just like that sense of leadership and that he knows how this offense, like how to get these guys going, like from a leadership perspective. But at the end of the day, I get it because you don't pay just for leadership.
Yeah.
So I mean, I see both sides of the argument. I think realistically, he will walk away and go somewhere else and get a big deal. And then the question is, do you move Ramczyk to left tackle? Well, then it gets real crappy because then the discussion of tackle in the first round becomes a thing, right?
Yeah,
if you lose Armstead, yeah.
That's probably the way I'd see it.
We're really going to draft another lineman in round 1.
Yeah, Saints Twitter is probably going to be very hot this season. Like, there's a couple different scenarios that could play out. Either one, we trade the pick for something. Who knows?
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Trade the pick for a guy like Russell Wilson, or we let Teron Armstead walk and we draft a lineman, and Saints Twitter gets lit on fire.
Oh, that would be that app would be shambles if you hear the name and like if you don't know football, you don't know who he is, but then you hear offensive and then you stop. You just stop at that point.
As long as they don't draft like a guard and try to move him to tackle, okay.
that would be something they would do.
Yeah,
they see the potential in a hybrid.
Yeah, exactly. I just draft a guy that plays left tackle. Keep Ryan Ramczyk at right tackle where he normally plays.
I'm tired of taking project players at the first round every year. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I mean it's real bad, and I mean the only way I think to appease Saints Twitter, besides probably trading the pick for Russell Wilson, would be to draft a wide receiver in the first round, which, I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen, to be honest with you. I mean... I
would imagine that's Chris...
Olave's
territory, I imagine Garrett Wilson goes in the top 15.
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely be the guy there. Chris Olave would probably be the guy if I had to guess. I'm blanking on my guy's name, man.
The other cat from Ohio State?
Not the other guy from Ohio State. Traylon Burks, my guy from Arkansas.
Yeah.
He's going to be real good, too. Like, he's going to shoot up draft boards whenever the combine comes around. His hands are freaking massive. He's definitely going to shoot up draft boards, and he's probably going to be around that area come this time around the draft because there's always some guy that pops up, and he's already like low end round 1 talent to high end round 2 talent. So he's definitely going to be a guy that's going to be up there.
I just hope they don't. I swear to you, if they go lineman in round 1 again, offensive or defensive lineman, the Saints will be a war zone.
I mean, if Teron Armstead leaves,
logically it would make sense.
Yeah, if Teron Armstead leaves, I'm just going to be prepared that it's going to happen because it will.
And I don't even think the tackle free agent market is all that great. And I imagine you don't want to run out there with James Hurst for 17 games at left tackle.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Yeah, I mean, he's great as a backup, but a swing guy. But that's what he is. We'll see what happens. It should be a very fun offseason. Interesting for sure.
It should. I mean, I wouldn't quite call this year a transitional year because the Saints team actually did go out and they competed till the very end, almost got into the playoffs, which, I mean, that's a big accomplishment. Granted that going into it, I thought they would barely sneak in just based on the talent of the roster. But if you had told me all these things that had happened, I'd be like, there's no way we're close to it. And it ended up being that way, being 9-8. Definitely an accomplishment with the way you look at things. And I mean, it can't go much worse next season, right? I know I might be like breaking down the door for all kinds of shit. Let me knock on some wood or something real quick so that way I don't just like curse this team by saying that. But man, you hope things go better next season as far as everything going on, from COVID to injuries to players underperforming. Will Lutz will be back. That'll be an improvement. Michael Thomas should hopefully be back. That'll also be a huge improvement. And then we'll just see how it goes. The main stuff I'm definitely interested in is the quarterback situation. Yep. Who's going to play quarterback? That's going to be the huge storm cloud looming over this team for a while. But yeah, that's definitely my main thing.
I mean, I'll leave the last note. I'll leave. The Saints team started 58 players this year, which is an NFL record. If you look at the previous teams listed out, all those teams are basically out of playoff contention by the midpoint of the season.
Yeah,
the Saints somehow, through thick and thin, were still in the very mix till literally the last game of the season. They did their part, and ultimately, you never want to leave it in the hands of another team. Because you never do, because that's out of your control. But through it all, this team was competitive despite everything. And at the end of the day, they were one Rams touchdown from being in the postseason playing the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a shoot. If the Saints somehow got into the playoffs as a 7 seed and beat the Rams, the streets would be hot. The streets would be hot. I would be talking some trash. Oh man, I freaking hate the Rams. I just hate.
I'm not very big on Sean McVay. I mean, outside of, I know we're going off topic here, but just outside of putting guys in motion, like I don't get what he does that's so innovative.
Well, I mean,
he doesn't do anything else. He puts guys in motion, and his offense is predicated off motion.
Yeah, and the fact that he was in the end zone in the second quarter, I mean, that makes him look kind of silly right now.
Yep. It could be worse. We could be the Chargers.
Yeah, we could be the Chargers.
Could have been a Steeler fan if the Chargers didn't call a timeout. Can you imagine if that's how you don't make the playoffs?
Man, that's crazy.
Granted, I'm already mad. I got to watch Big Ben play in a playoff game. I'm already mad about that. But, like, can you imagine if you're a Steeler fan? You're thinking, okay, just don't tie, and we're in. And then the Rangers ran that ball, and they weren't stopping. They weren't in a rush. They were content that the clock run down.
Yeah.
Until the Chargers called a timeout.
I know this is kind of getting off the rails, but I would have been really interested in what would have happened if the Chargers and the Raiders just went out there and took a knee on every single play and didn't actually play the game.
Chaos.
Like, what would the NFL do? Because that would be like a competitive advantage for them or something. The fact that both teams got kind of a rest week, didn't do anything.
That would be hilarious.
That would have been a very interesting scenario to play out. But, yeah, Saints 9-8 kind of met expectations despite all the bad things that went on, and it's definitely going to be an offseason with lots of questions.
Yeah,
go
ahead.
And I'm just hoping for some answers.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. Like you said, you predicted this team to go 9-8, but not in the fashion that it happened. But yet, this team still competed week in and week out, and they got to 9-8. So you can't complain about it. You love the fight in this team. They're picking 18th in the draft. We'll see what they do in free agency. We could talk about the quarterbacks, but that's going to be a whole nother damn episode after February, folks, because truly, we don't know what the hell is going to happen at quarterback. I am excited about it. Matt, any last words here before we call it a night here?
Well, thanks for listening to us throughout the season. It's been a fun first year being on with the Full Press Saints, hoping for more years to come. And it's always going to be fun talking Saints, and I always enjoy it. Who dat?
Yes, sir, indeed. We'll have plenty of content coming out this year with myself, with Matt, with Dayton, with Saquon, and with Mason. We have tons of ideas coming out. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun off season. We'll be covering it all here with the Full Press Coverage Network. And once again, as Matt mentioned, thank you to everybody who listened to us throughout the season. It's been a hell of a ride. And now, hey, this is where the fun begins. We will we will see what happens in this off season. And it's gonna be fun. So this is Alec and Matt signing off from the Full Press Saints podcast. Until next time, see you guys then.
Take a seat on the couch.